the conversation is pivoted around the studio, and it's going to be presented by myself and Rebecca from connecting but slightly different perspectives. And I think my focus is around a number of things, but is to do with sort of material in the studio. And as I said in the sort of preamble on the poster, that we can think about the studio in lots and lots of different ways, not least current ideas around studio practice. And I think we could maybe talk about that or a lot of other things in a subsequent session, perhaps. So although I'm not really focusing on studio practice, I am starting with these two images from Bruce Nauman's 2001 film called Mapping the Studio. It's actually two versions, but this one is the first one. And to some extent, it's, I suppose, challenging some of the myths of the studio and the artist. And perhaps the artist is meant to find the studio. But what was happening here was that he was sort of in a period when he said he didn't have any ideas. And as a sort of counter to that, he decided, and I think he does this a lot, to use what was there. So what was there was just what was in the studio. And he decided to film it at night over a period of quite a few weeks, and then put the footage together. So that he wasn't in the film at all. And there were long periods of complete inactivity. And key activity that did occur was his cat and the mice running around in the studio, the cat running around with the mice, because one of the things that had happened, he'd had an excess, well, an influx of mice in the studio to the point he said that the cat was getting bored with it. Anyway, so this is a film of the studio, different shots of and places around the studio, and there's a lot of inactivity when nothing happens at all. Appearance and performance by the mice and the cat. But what I wanted to pick up on was what when part of what the interview that's in the studio, when Nauman's speaking about the film, he's talking about it as a mapping of the leftover parts and work areas of the last several years of completed, unfinished or discarded projects. So that's the kind of bit I'm sort of interested in terms of our conversation today. Now, when I sort of go on now with the rest of the slides here, I'm just going to let them roll on a loop. They are of almost nothing. Actually, I've been around the studios and taken a number of photographs. You recognise the studios here and there of things that are on the edges or that are, in a sense, on the periphery of the spaces. So I'm just thinking about some propositions about this stuff we keep in the studio and its possible significance. So I'll just stop that going. And I've tried to take images that don't really contain recognisable work as such, certainly kind of a sense of finished work at all. So it's lots of images of stuff and materials. And thinking about, we might consider in one sense that this is just the debris of the studio. That is stuff that isn't used, might be used later, might get thrown away could look like rubbish, but I'm thinking about it slightly differently as a kind of metaphor for what actually happens in the studio, and kind of metaphor for both the creative and cognitive processes in general that we engage in. And just thinking about it differently in a sense from when we take the work out, to be shown and to be talked about people in the public. I think there's a very different sense of how the work exists and comes together in the space of the studio. So you might think of this debris as perhaps residue of actions taken. It might be discarded work or material. It might include failures, or what think of as failures. It's perhaps we'll think about that later kind of works, the things that we put to one side, the unresolved but somehow still significant works. There's probably images and books or materials that just also sitting around. So I was thinking of these things as apparent non-events in terms of thinking about the not yet, still to be, or that which is yet to happen. And perhaps in a sense they are standing for something prior to recognition, prior to kind of knowing something that perhaps can't be entirely or clearly articulated. There was even in the first year studio a broken cello, which is quite interesting to discover.
There's a nice photo that someone's painted in Nike Tip on as well, which I quite like.
So yeah, just thinking about this idea of stuff around the edges and on the periphery, and thinking also about how things sit in the periphery of our minds when we're working. I was thinking, we've got some images up there, and I took one of my studio, which is just crops some actual work, but is just pretty much as I found it. So there's kind of a pile of stuff on paper, and there's a couple of watercolours, and there's a row of unprimed canvases, linen canvases, and then some primed. So there's stuff waiting and ready for something to happen. And then there's other things that I've just taken down off the wall, and although everything is actually in a sequence, sitting in its sequence, and then there's stuff that are sort of half done or just been sanded and so just sitting there waiting. And it's kind of how these are kind of located in your vision and in your mind, or in your eye's mind while you're working. And at some point something takes on a different kind of significance, or it suggests something that you haven't been aware of previously, and that's kind of interested in how those things that are sitting about actually enter into heads and then enter into the work. So yeah, the stuff places the artist into material and visual encounters that initially at least may not be fully understood, sort of minimal in a way, kind of halfway sort of houses. So yeah, I just kind of wanted perhaps other people to talk a little bit about kind of how they, whether any of that resonated with yourselves in terms of kind of what you were surrounded with in the studio, but also how it might connect up with those kind of thinking processes, which can be kind of messy in a way, not necessarily rational or logical. But that messiness, although you can literally see what that's about messy in the studio, I'm just thinking more about a cognitive messiness of kind of how different things can connect up in odd and irrational kind of ways. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense in terms of how other people work. Because I'm also, when I was walking around the studio, thinking, well, some people are super organised and tidy, and there's a kind of clinical air about how the space is kept, and just sort of thinking about whether that is also kind of indicative of how some people think and make as well. And I guess I'm just coming from my perspective of not necessarily having a messy studio all the time, where there's always lots of stuff around, but just that messiness of thinking. Yeah.
about it yesterday, weren't we? Yesterday evening, we're like, you told not to set your studio out like an office.
Yeah.
But we were saying that actually it helps us a little bit more. Like we've got a desk, you've got a desk, and you just sit there and
Got a
do
filing
stuff.
cabinet.
Filing cabinet, yeah. And it's just surround yourself with that kind of.
To get organised, kick
Yeah.
off jobs that you need to do them, you know. I find if I'm trying to create, if I know I've got outstanding things to do, that I haven't sort of ticked off that they've done, it disrupts my creative thoughts. I mean, and things like that. So I've always worked well. You know, I've worked in office environment, so I'm comfortable working there and using it as a way to progress forward. I mean, some of them pictures you've shown on there, mine's a mess. But some of the ones you've shown on there, just like, whoa, you know, I'd have to start clearing that up before I did anything, you know. Literally, some of that does look like the inside of a skip, some of them.
Yeah.
As does my space, you know.
So that kind of organisation is about a sort of clarity in your head as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Organised together.
Yeah, that's a good phrase for you, yeah.
But also with you're working together a lot of the time and also working in different ways, aren't you? So maybe that's
Yeah, I think.
to do with your,
I always stick at one desk and you stick at the other.
Yeah, we have like kind of set spaces where they kind of do things around us. What you're saying, how they can influence or like new peripheries. So it's like we have pieces of wood there, and we kind of go, oh, what do you want to do? It's like, oh, there's a piece of wood. Let's sort of let's do something with the bike wheel and a piece of wood.
yes, but I was going to say those bike wheels have been there
For a while,
ages.
but we did that in the beginning. But it's not that we want to get rid of them to change something up. It's just actually they're also influencing something that could come along later. So it's kind of like a hoarder studio where we just can't get rid of stuff.
But that's also like what Aaron is saying, you can't think of quite what to do.
Look around,
and use something that is already there.
Yeah.
Trouble is
Use
often,
the whole studio and put it.
if you do clear something out of your studio, you can guarantee within the next couple of weeks you think, oh, where's that canvas, where's that, you know, whatever, you know. So it's an unusual attitude into you can't really be thinking I need to get shut, I need to tidy. Like my studio, just get more added until the end of the year, because I don't want to get shut of anything that I might, you know, come back to.
Do you not find it's a sequence though of like finding something that kind of initially intrigued you, or I need to bring that in the studio? Because I find I do it a lot as well. You find something, I have to have that, I have to keep it. Could be free, it could be something you find really cheap. Like I need to have it just in case.
Yeah.
I'll keep it. You try and work with it a lot in the studio. You try so much, like really hard with the other things that you've had, and then it kind of sits there for a few more weeks and a few more weeks. Then gradually tends to kind of push towards the other stuff that was there a few months ago. And then it's like you find that like the pile that you have is just like a sequence of like weeks and weeks of stuff that just isn't working. So is it healthy to keep them there just in case, or does it come a time where you need to do like spring clean?
Well, that's the point. If you do spring clean, you can guarantee you will need
You're making a
some
pile more to make
of
room
that.
for
Even if you did
more.
think you're going to need, I don't know whether it's some sort of psychological thing where you think, oh, I just could do it.
But is it healthy to kind of go back to things when you're stuck, or is it healthier to kind of say, right, you start afresh? Because like, I think there's debris and then there's edits. I think it's more healthy to edit in the studio. Even if like how you're saying about the debris being something that's left behind in post studio like exhibition and making. I think more of those like edits. But with like what's supposed to go out, what is actually being made.
Or may never be made, or it's
Yeah.
waiting for something else to
Come off, yeah.
But yeah, no, so I think it's quite interesting in terms of studio whether, well, I don't have a particular anything to do, don't have an order. I think Tom's talking about an order. Tom, if your actual space is full of stuff.
It's not full yet.
Which it must in some way kind of enter into the thinking.
Yeah, it does everything in there. I have, like you were saying about editing, I have been looking to what can I, you know, remove. But at the moment, there's nothing I think I can say to remove and not think I might need it later.
broader debate of what a studio is outside of an education system. So you go through 3 years of undergraduate education or 2 years of postgraduate education, and you just accumulate. And then where'd you go for that? And a lot of things to get a private studio. You might have a job, you might not have time to go to that space, but it becomes a space of storage, doesn't it? And there's been a lot of kind of grumbles with studio complexes that they're not spaces for making actually their repositories of storage, because people aren't going in and being
Without the
creative in that
artist in
space,
it. Yeah.
but they just
Yeah.
become kind of
Yeah.
a peripheral kind of space where kind of stuff accumulates, and maybe it's unedited in some ways, maybe it's just it can't be got rid of at this stage though, because it's still seen as kind of loads of potential.
Yeah.
Or on the
Waiting.
edge of becoming this.
Waiting.
Yeah. There was a show I saw in Berlin a couple of years ago about Fischl and Weiss. Do you know the way they make these replica kind of objects? And the exhibition was their studio, and it was all the replica objects that had never made it into other installations. So it was all these kind of leftover kind of things, and it was like a kitchen store cupboard of kind of ingredients that never been used, but it was set up as the studio had been taken in, but it was just these peripheral things, but these peripheral things had suddenly become the subject matter rather than just being these kind of leftover things that had been edited out of other works. They were kind of redundant kind of objects from these other things, but it got to a point where actually all those kind of objects that you pushed to one side, like you're sort of describing, suddenly actually gained a new sense of gravity and momentum and became something. Maybe that the commercial art world is kind of part of the draw of that, but it was actually really just interesting to see, because they still had that kind of playful power of inauthenticity that always has in them.
Yeah, which we don't that often get a connection to, do we, in terms of the work we see, although, as we talk about the studio, but I'm just thinking about Stuart Ayres working with a sense of the work isn't made until it's in the gallery, it becomes a kind of studio environment as well. The uncertainty of what it, the sense that well, there isn't a prescribed ending to that, to the way the work is as such. So it has that precariousness perhaps that we might associate with student being a sort of space of potential testing ground. Things don't necessarily work in sequential.
In that show as well, the table that's upstairs, that's from Stuart's studio as well. And even the graphic he's got above it, the camera, that's from the studio on the chalkboard, because he works in it every day. Loves it away when this new comes up. So that's like a process that's being used for this whole year. It can be used for like more than just this year. In that studio that he's brought into the exhibition for other people to work on as well. As part of the studio process, like actually bringing in the furniture, not just the debris around.
But I think crucially the CSN, there also the attitude of that as well, so actually talking about an indistinguishability and in a way sort of a non-barrier or non-separation between the studio and the exhibition space, which kind of seems a really interesting and healthy and kind of useful thing to be talking about. But I'm also curious about so when you're talking there, it kind of seems very much about the studio being a thinking space, and not that kind of seems to be part of this that it's a thinking space rather than a kind of like certain types of production and resolution.
Yes.
And that kind of seems an exciting proposition.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my focus was, that sense of how things around you that are on the edges and that are also on your edges and stuff that I think it somehow takes on a kind of form in a way that is actually really difficult to pin down. It's kind of seems to me really integral.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of wonder, it's a very different way of working if a studio is empty. I kind of think, where's the impetus for?
But I'm wondering whether, you know, you sort of outlined your sort of interest then in the sort of how that reflects or how that opens up a kind of window to us thinking about kind of headspaces and thinking processes. You know, hearing you talk about the kind of the clutter or the stuff, and it's, you know, I think the word that Ed used, that potential, the potential of stuff, we don't quite know what the potential is going to be. But I'm also wondering now whether that kind of starts to implicate or allow us to think about, I guess, the kind of different processing speeds that go on within that space, so that actually a certain kind of material or object might need a very different kind of cognitive processing, which might play itself out over a 3-month, a 4-month period, rather than some other material that has a far kind of quicker cognitive process that we can kind of account for and deal with.
Yeah, and that being important, that kind of
Yeah.
quite long space of not knowing
Absolutely.
is
And then this
Right.
kind of, so that sort of
Significant.
alerts us maybe to an idea of sort of the spectrum of cognitive speeds that are all sort of concurrent with each other. Maybe that's part of that kind of informs or gives us a sort of a lens into what that kind of creative or that kind of that transition between kind of thinking and making processes are.
and it can occur at different speeds at different times. It's not kind of having a recipe, you know, that
Yeah.
you're going to be waiting a long time for something. You know, sometimes it's not as ordered as that, is it? I mean, sometimes I see something in my head and that's great, and I do it, but other times it's again a much messier kind of process of
Because that's what I'm then
working out what
interested.
something
That's what I
is.
then find sort of interesting, exciting about is, you know, what you opened up with the AAS example there, and that kind of that non-separation in the sense of that bleeding between the studio and the exhibition space. Because what that maybe starts to do is kind of understand the exhibition space as part of that kind of cognitive unfolding.
Continuing
rather than it being a kind of this sort of point of articulation or display or kind of separation.
It's funny that, Charles, the way you're talking, you could also be describing the sketchbooks that were like encouraged to make a game, you know, but like I think of my studio space as just a large sketchbook, so instead of having it in a sketchbook where I'm looking back and seeing, I've actually got it on the wall when I turn around when I'm sat there having a brew, just look. And so I think of the studio as well as a making space and a thinking space. It's also like a sketchbook, but like you mentioned earlier, the education side and the you know, when you leave here, we're obviously encouraging you to keep and produce again a sketchbook. And it might work for some people and that might be great. Others might have, you know, I don't know if Paul, for example, do you keep a sketchbook, Paul, to produce your stuff?
Sometimes.
But I can imagine yours, you know, with you saying a couple of weeks ago how you just do it instinctively. A sketchbook would be, you know, something you might not need as often as perhaps we, you know, would or should do.
No, I mean, I do use locations and satellite imagery, which is part of the kind of, not debris of the studio, but part of the organised chaos of the studio.
I mean, the best sketchbooks I have seen are Derek Jarman's sketchbooks. I mean, they are just, you know, he takes it to the nth degree, you know, the amount of stuff he researches and puts in there. Whether, you know, his sketchbooks, you know, probably like his studio as well, aren't they? Have you ever seen them, Paul? Have you ever seen them?
But you're also talking about your space having so much in it that everything is there sort of simultaneously, isn't it? Whether it's in important in that moment, or is buried under a table and might come out later. Somehow it's kind of, its presence is important, knowing that
Yeah,
it's
yeah, that's right, to me, yeah, yeah.
I guess it's like having loads of stuff around you. It's just like having loads of paint pots like surrounding you. And like
Yeah.
you're dipping into all these different objects. I think that's what we do as well. We don't paint. We just sort of take objects and assemble. So having the potential of a sort of different shape, different form or something, we're seeing them together and then moving them. So just keeping them together. I do come from a long line of hoarders, so my house is full.
It's what I pick up on that idea of the speeds of thinking and making. It kind of goes back to that as well. I think in a collaborative, I find that quite interesting. Because like last year, I kind of worked a lot. I had my own practice and I worked in a collaborative as well with Victoria. She's not here at the minute. But now I'm in a studio with her. We decided to go totally collaborative for GSN this year. And we've moved in to each other studio, moved in, committed. So,
You got a pre-nuptial.
exactly, yeah. She's not here today though, so, but just that idea of speeds of thinking and making, and I think she was kind of feeling that pressure of the empty studio being kind of unsettling. She likes having things in her studio and having things going on, different things at different speeds, whereas I use my studio more for thinking, because I'm kind of saying to you about graduating, like if you have a studio, what do you do then? How long can you turn more into storage space? That's what's happened to me. I find my time in the studio is very sporadic. I sit in there a lot and think more than making, because even if I'm outside the studio, I have time to think about my work.
So how important is it, the things that are around you,
I find that the things that are around me are the offcuts of past exhibitions or past works. I think that the piece of work I'm actually struggling with, can I put the slide of the images? Because you're talking about the works that the debris that are things that are the debris that are things you're coming to, or that might be when I talk about the piece of work that the try again piece of work, or maybe try again. This piece of work I did last year, and I think George will know it quite well. And what they talk about is the false, kind of the false image of false kind of picks up on like the edit between the studio and the exhibition. Because a lot of the time I use my studio as a thinking space, and I work either on site or like in a space as an installation or quite transit. So this piece, it's not really, it was kind of a mistake piece. I call this digging a whole lot of hole. And basically it was, I'll do the first image, yeah. So, like in the last image, in the second image, it's actually supposed to be one where it's just like the hole, then it's been, the soul's been put back in again, so it's like, it's kind of excavating 6 foot, 6 by 4 foot hole?
I think it came to about here on it.
Yeah, it was like, it was quite,
Yeah, it's
it was
quite
5 foot hole.
Mm.
We didn't like 6 colors, but I think the images that I produced from that are the false representation of what the actual concept of the work originally was, which was this, which I've held on to for a year now. Used to talk with sketchbooks and notebooks, had this idea, like it's kind of like what I thought was a brilliant idea. I'll try it. We went. Georgia came with me, did most of the digging actually. I'll not lie. I'm really glad you were there. But yeah, so like the images that were produced from that are showing something that is almost like a failure. I've used the images as something that is more the experience rather than the actual work that was supposed to happen, because the work itself flopped. Like I was supposed to put mirrors in, I was supposed to make something called introverted self-reflective monument that's supposed to put mirrors, and it's almost like a plinth, and you get inserted into the ground with mirrors in it, and then you look in, it's like you're reflecting yourself. you can see those are my mirrors, but I was very unprepared. I didn't realise that my materials weren't going to work together. The mirror smashed and the whole was a disaster, wasn't it?
I mean, you were lucky really when you think about you down there 5 foot deep, no shuttering or anything, eh? But it just collapsed on you.
Exactly.
When you're getting down there digging that took some digging that.
I know George didn't.
What a great idea! What a great idea for like they're running out of cemetery space, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
This is Tom Boston.
You had a couple of seconds though of seeing it. There was that.
Yeah, there was like a
moment
brief
where
moment
you did
of
see
where
what
the
it
camera
looked
wasn't
like.
on.
Yeah.
And I could have got the shot, but I feel like this kind of when I make works like on this field, made another piece on the same field that worked I think kind of quite well, and it's more about the image because like all the kids people it was the image because the work's quite transient, so it's about bringing an idea from the studio into an outside space and having that image to be the work rather than the actual the activity itself. So but for this piece, because it brought up like the actual activity brought up more interest than the failed product.
Did you get an image of the shattered mirrors? Because it was quite
We
interesting.
did.
You didn't get.
I got some images. I
Because
really tried to make it work.
when you're talking about it,
Uh-huh.
I actually would like to see that because this all looks to me like it's not even happening. It looks like
Exactly.
fake. Like it looks photoshopped. Like, I don't believe those mirrors are actually there.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. But what's interesting is this idea of like the introverted, what do you call it,
Self-reflective
monument, which is a lovely idea for kind of some kind of like quietly determined presence within. And the idea that then fails and breaks is even better.
Oh,
You know,
really?
it's even better that it didn't become
work,
just like a buried minimalist
Yeah.
reflective thing. I'm so glad it broke it. And
Thanks, Paul.
because it kind of brings out the kind of true meaning of the piece, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly. I brought out something that it's more like the title of the piece and the work itself is more about my inability and kind of incapable. And this is like doing something like that with digging a hole. I just kind of went like very like, oh, I'm going to dig this 6-foot hole. Didn't happen. Had to bring someone with me to do most of the digging. Yeah,
It's an
just-
equal share.
I don't think so, Georgie. I did most of it. But yeah. So, but I've kept this like these notes and piece of paper thing. Oh, I failed, flopped. I'm just gonna have to make something up, like just for the end of the year, so I can get marked. Sorry, to make it seem like it was something else. But I keep going back to it, and I really want to make this piece again. But the more I keep this debris in the studio, I keep it on the wall thinking I'm going to come back to it. I really want to keep making it. But the more I look at it, the less I want to do it because of the mistake that first happened. Not because I think it's going to happen again, because I know that I write this wrong, so the actual technical like making of the structure you make, but it's just like the idea, the more I keep it, the less I want to do it. I think that happens a lot with me. The more I think about something, the less making I do, the less I make. So I don't use the studio as an intrinsic space of making. I use it more as thinking and thinking through and thinking beyond an idea.
So how do you think it's going to change now that you've collaborated? And how is that
Exactly,
identity,
yeah.
Progressing?
And yeah, that's like this year having a collaborative studio now. I still keep this up as something in the back of my mind. So again, it goes different speeds and different areas of making and using the studio. It's quite interesting because our time in the studio is quite sparse and quite I think it is quite difficult.
Yeah. Do you know that's one of the main issues in the studio, to be able to make their mistakes and learn from them, reflect on them. That's why we have a studio, and rather than just go into a gallery and just create. It's like studio, make all the mistakes you need to. Remind yourself of the mistakes. Next time think, well, I'll take some stainless steel sheets rather than glass mirrors. All think it through that way. So it's great that you've got that there, and obviously someone will require that, won't it? Might not be while you're here, but it might be later. But
yeah, I was more interested in the experience for a long time of I thought I could do this by myself, or even thinking that would work. Then someone else came around a bit more of a physical kind of self-reflection.
I mean, just from an health and safety point of view, you don't want to be doing something like that by yourself, do you?
First aid kit already, but funny because like some of the mirrors were buried underground. We just couldn't save them. It just totally collapsed on itself. So,
It's quite interesting, this relationship between doing and thinking, and that you separate them out, not just you, but other people, the way they talked about their studio as a space for thinking. And I'm quite interested in how that kind of overlaps into doing, and because it's, production's been discussed as, I'm just kind of concerned there's a kind of debate where thinking is prioritised over doing, and there's a separation of the cerebral and the manual. But I'm kind of much more in favour of the integration of those two perhaps separate things, where thinking is entwined with doing, and perhaps thinking comes through doing sometimes.
I think was it John Cage just said you can't do both at once. You have to do one or the other first. Was it John Cage or
I'm not sure about that. I agree with that.
No, I dispute.
Surely they're indivisible.
I mean,
in a way.
They are
I
absolutely.
don't think there's,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you can.
And there are all sorts of different ways of thinking.
Exactly. And if one of the big things the kind of groundbreaking of conceptual practice in the 70s is the fact that the idea is a material thing, that it takes on materiality, so therefore that intrinsically tells us that those things aren't mutually indivisible or separable. The other thing I'm thinking, which I'm really glad for, is everyone's talking about studio singular, and I'm suddenly thinking, well, actually, is there not a space? Should we not be talking about studios plural? Because I'm curious here, Rebecca, your field, and you said you've made a number of works in this field on this site.
Yeah.
So is this not your studio?
Yeah, I would say it's like, yeah, for sure, it's an extension of a working space, and then like the image is the product of that making. Yeah, so I think the boundaries of the studios,
Yeah.
especially in my practice, there I call it collapse. So no pun intended.
And I'm kind of really curious about this. So I'm thinking about what you're saying there about the field making lots of work. I'm thinking, well, that's a studio for you.
Yeah.
You might have other spaces as well. Thinking about what I do, I have a studio which is a physical space that I go to. I make paintings there. I also have other types of spaces which are much more transient, where I guess open up a studio space around another part of my practice, which is intrinsically collaborative. And then I'm thinking, well, how do I kind of constitute that? And then I'm thinking, well, actually, my computer then becomes a key part of that. And I'm thinking about the messiness, all the things that you're talking about, the kind of the stuff around. I'm thinking, well, actually, my computer has lots of stuff on it. It has bits and pieces that I'm kind of pulling up. I'm thinking of people's phones. I'm thinking, there's a whole sort of technological space which actually opens. So maybe we're in kind of a state of plural studios, and that's something that we should be sort of thinking about, talking about.
I think even like your threads of conversation it could be a studio as well. So like I think if you're talking about phones and the kind of digital sources of the studio, like me and Victoria, we've got just threads of imagery and just notes that make no sense just to each other, just things come up in your head, you have to write it down. So that's almost kind of a conversational studio, I guess, that comes back into the physical studio then.
But these are also quite useful because they kind of allow for a mobility of space. So maybe part of that messiness, going back to that amazing sort of set of images, maybe part of that messiness is also the fact that I can go and work with Rob, and we might go and have lunch while because we've got the computers there and we're talking through and working through stuff, and we've got the studio there, but we're in this other sort of messy space which has lots of kind of noise and other things going on.
I think that's where it's building as well. There's studios throughout. It's not just white box spaces. There's a paper studio, there's print studios, photography studios, digital studio, and they're all technically resource spaces as well. So that the prioritisation of the making process is implicit in those spaces. There's someone there to help us through that production space. So the correlation between thinking and making is implicit in there, isn't it? You go into that. You can't go to the print studio. I don't know what I'm going to do today. You have to kind of go go in with a series of ideas and some degree of
It's
preparation.
like lots of
and,
different strata all sort of contributing.
and then within those spaces, come back to that idea of time. It's kind of time has its own kind of particular kind of ordering within those spaces to do with the kind of processes you have to kind of go through, and whether it's drying processes or preparation processes that take place within
Or
those spaces.
sorting process.
Yeah, and then maybe you take the work back out of those spaces to then make sense of it, then you have to come back into them again. So
I was quite interested when you were talking about this work outside, where you were framing it as a failure.
Yeah.
I think if we thought about that as a studio space, it's just where something has happened and it's been tested and tried out. I mean, actually, I don't think it's.
Yeah.
I think the fact that it's perhaps wasn't
Yeah.
didn't turn out in the way that you'd conceived
Yeah, I think
possibly more interesting. It still seems a piece of work, but you know, it was a testing out. You hadn't done it
yeah.
before, so you didn't know how it would.
I kind of go back and forth between liking the fact it didn't work because it means I don't need to make it again or try it again, and I'm thinking I really want to make it again to correct myself. But that I was reading through the 10 rules for students and teachers by John Cage, that I've set 10 rules. Number 6 is nothing is a mistake, there's only fail, there's only make. So I thought that was quite relevant. So I think it's quite relevant with studio as well, for like these types of things that are deem as failures, or painting it didn't work, or solid colour didn't work well, or maybe readings didn't work, or print messed up. There's nothing as a mistake. And then number 7 is the only rule is work. It will lead to something. So this idea of thinking and making, or just thinking or keeping things in the studio, looking back at your so-called failures, lead to something else. So you think one of these failures or things that these days,
It's continuous thing, isn't it?
they can lead to trajectory of more better things.
It doesn't end.
Actually, I think that's really good, because I was thinking before you came in, and it's just opening up that idea that the computer can also be a studio space, or what these other spaces are. And the other thing I was thinking of is not studio spaces. You know, and I know that there are some models in this country of that within BA courses. So the fact of not having a studio as being an implicit part, and how you kind of reconcile and deal with that. But I know when you went to Holland on exchange, then that was part of the setup there. There wasn't.
Yeah, it was kind of like it was refreshing because it was halfway through uni, and we went and we kind of asked around what people do when you're faced with not having a space, and it kind of was negotiated by the work itself and the ideas, and then a space within the academy, pop into the head and then you go do it there. There was a big central main hall where a lot of the work went on, but there was also like splinter rooms from that, people using corridors, and even like the social areas, and they were really popular actually, because the social areas obviously there's going to be people there just chatting quite casually, and then there's a work and it becomes a bit more relaxed from the critical stuff that went on in the main hall. So it was kind of a big kind of pool of lots of different activity in lots of different ways, and we kind of just slotted into that and let the work kind of direct where we placed it and how we wanted it to be kind of active.
So that felt like a lot of pressure on the making and having to make something finished and physical rather than having bits.
Really easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the most successful things we did was, it was in the main hall, there was kind of a big staircase that went up to the back room. It was about a 15-20 foot wall, and we covered it in aluminium foil, and it made this space look even bigger, and it was like this monument thing. It looked really strange, but you could see it from where you stood in the central hall, and that's kind of what we wanted, because it was a weird kind of the reflective quality made the space seem even.
Did it make you kind of work more transient then, with things that can only kind of stay there for a while?
Yeah, well, we
You should have these piles of things everywhere.
we left it for about 4 weeks. We weren't going to take it down. We just left it because it was interesting. Then the library was attached to the central space, and we were just talking. We were in our digital studio, and suddenly we heard this. We both looked at each other and like instantly got out. I instantly got out my phone because I knew what it was, and I ran across the hall, ran up the stairs, and there was the caretaker just ripping down all of this foil. And I got a brilliant photo of him pulling it down, and as he pulled it down, it fell over him, so he was like some sort of tinfoil creature. But it was interesting when works had to be removed because with not having studio space, you decide when things stay in a degree or whatever, they're chucked out, or they stay in. It's actually the caretakers have quite a big role in that because they are managing the space, and when something needs to go for something else to come in, then they're in charge of that. They're quite ruthless and just get rid of it. So.
Did you not miss that sense of ownership of the work you put the effort and time into it, and then just
no, we didn't miss it because we knew we were going to come back to it.
So I find it stressful thinking about that. It's like if I was learning to be a chef, and they told me I didn't have a kitchen, I'd be thinking, who decided that? And how am I going to resist that and claim that back? Because I think studios have been worth fighting for, and so it's interesting that you're kind of having to branch out. You're having to push out and claim that space and put the foil on it. And of course, it's fiction, and I'm not trying to live in a world where it's just me in isolation, but in some sense, because I don't work collaboratively, in some sense I do make a conscious decision to withdraw, and the studio in some ways is a symbol for that. And it's something I would personally always have to kind of fight for. I've had numerous studios in studio groups, in homes that I've lived in places I've rented on my own. So I've always had a studio, but I know that I've had to decide, right, I'm going to go and get a studio, and I have to kind of fight for that. But I find it a bit worrying that if we start to live in a world where that's taken away from you because someone's decided that it would be better for you not to have one. I think, oh, hang on a minute, why is that decision being made? But I'm really interested and glad that you found a solution, and that other people are finding solutions to sort of bypass those restrictions.
I mean, I think it was kind of perfect for us because that's when me and Nikki first started collaborating. In a sense, it was nice not to go to another country, another kind of system, and different methodologies and ideas.
Help make a decision about the collaboration?
Yeah, it did, yeah. And we didn't go to another country to then just sit in another space that just ours. We had full range of the entire campus, even through the town itself. And I think that was more positive than negative. But it was funny what you were saying about people like kind of claiming spaces, and there was this kind of, when we talked to a lot of people, they always told stories about like, oh, in that space somebody did something really, really good, and like there was this amazing performance that this woman Suzanne did she was from Arizona, and she used this little red lift. It's probably about the size of the one that comes up to the 5th floor, and but it went 4 floors down, and she had this kind of she basically she'd sleepwalk and always eat peanut butter, and she hates peanut butter and she's allergic to it like quite severely, and what she did was she got in the lift and started covering herself in peanut butter, but the doors would close and you had to go up to the floor and click the button if you wanted to see it, and then you'd see it on different floors, and as you saw it more, she'd be more and more covered in peanut butter, and she kind of claimed that lift as like as it was a really successful piece, and she sprayed the peanut butter off with a really sharp knife as well, because she'd pick up knives at the peanut butter. Yeah, it's interesting about that kind of clearing spaces with works.
So anyway, just going back to kind of your experience, it sounds that having to plan to a studio in that back to how we can continue to make work.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
Yeah, because I think with the studio we have now, it constantly changes. Like maybe even like kind of weekly or daily or whatever. Because at the moment it's kind of a space where we're just making adjustments to things and then going elsewhere and then bringing back and making other little adjustments. Whereas when we first started off, we were getting used to the space and we were actually just making the space, and now it's something different. So I quite like how it's fluid like that. With the two of us as well, and it's same as Rebecca, kind of negotiating when we're both available and getting into the studio and working, and when we are together, kind of solidly working.
Yeah, like that time that you do have, it just seems extremely precious then. So like maybe in the evenings, I'll have like, after work, I'll have like 3 hours of being here, solid, and by the time you do your thinking, 3 hours of thinking, and kind of settling in, getting back into the studio kind of mindset, especially for, it's almost like, what did I do? It almost seems like not time wasted, but makes it difficult to make, especially at that time, kind of time at night, to other studio spaces or resources that you want to use just aren't available. So it's a place for connecting. Yeah. Yeah, I think like all these other things like you were saying, Charles, about like the phone or the computer, all these other different digital spaces become important then. And between conversation, especially in collaborative, it makes it not easy, but more like things happen easier. Because there's 2 people generating ideas over one.
Yeah, I mean, what's good about it is that one of us will come into the studio and the other one's halfway through something, and then just continue. It doesn't have to be like, if there's just one person in the studio, you can't make without the other person. So I think that's how it works for us. Like people coming on, somebody's halfway through something, whether it's halfway through, not halfway, but like thinking, just start thinking, or actually making, or not even in the studio, just go find where they are.
Yeah, that's where for me and Vic, it's a bit more haphazard about as I think about things, whereas it's more like a doer and kind of like, let's just try it. I'm like, I'm not sure. Let's have to think about it first. I think that's not holds back, but it's good in one way because it makes you makes everything more solid, and that you know what you're doing and you've got a reason for making things, which isn't always necessary. It's okay to make things as well, and maybe afterwards think, why did I do that? Why was that so
do you sometimes come into the studio and be Vic or be Nicky's been in and done something, and you wonder
Well,
what
she's
they
doing
think?
yeah, of course. But that's what I mean by kind of adjustments. It's nothing that is never anything like drastic. There's always been maybe a discussion beforehand of what we plan to do, but it might start doing that actually, doing something really drastic, and then you come and think, what the hell are we doing? Keep it exciting.
An artist called Michael Petrie. There's a book called The Art of Not Making, which is kind of, it's slightly off at a tangent, so I'm just looking it up, but it's to do with that sort of sense of the disjunction between the manufacture of something and the thinking space. So the critical idea is taking place in one space, but actually the skill base of the manufacture being done by someone else. Some of the thinking process being carried out.
I guess I've got that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting conversation around the sort of studios. Definitely sort of, it splits those things in a really kind of radical kind of way, and unless you have infinite lots of financial resources available, actually, it actually puts a full stop in one process. Or like a point of hand over.
Someone with like multiple studios, like I've been in Gormley, it's got multiple studios. If things are going on at once for other people, I don't know if I could even work in collaborative with one person's enough. I don't know if I could hand over that I think my responsibilities as an artist to someone else to make in the studio for me.
the conventional role as an artist, just in the studio.
She's a bit bigger still, or very particular white who she employs, isn't she? Because she's quite she likes to make sure they understand the material how she does. Like she wants to make sure they think of the material in the way that she does, almost giving them ownership, like almost kind of making mini artists and making mini filters out of them.
What do you think of that?
Not to my taste. Like I don't know. I'm not a successful artist like her. So like maybe if I get to that stage, then maybe I'll listen to
Just
people
reminds
do
me-
it for me.
A friend of mine went for an interview to be an assistant with an artist who will remain unnamed here. But one of the stipulations in the interview was how you would get to work. He insisted that, the artist insisted that his employees rode bicycles to work. And it was like this kind of total control. And I thought,
Was there a reason why?
the ecological reason. But this is like in London where the logistics of getting to work. Anyway, he didn't get the job, and he actually made, the interview was to make one of the pieces of work for this artist, and a friend of mine made the piece of work, and the criteria was it had to stand up, had to be freestanding, and it stood there, and didn't get the job, but obviously the piece of work still remained, and was used in an exhibition. But it's like, it's just like crazy, the whole thing. I hate it.
Why can't you name him, Paul?
No, because I'm not going to do that.
Just say the
I'm not
initials.
getting- I'm not
Just
getting
the
into it.
initials.
But I'm not getting into it. But it's quite an interesting thing where like, there's some of the artists we just been mentioned, where they kind of cross that divide between being successful individuals to becoming kind of brands, where they're now into the manufacturing of massive projects, and not just one of them, but many of them, multiple projects. And obviously Alice is the example that everyone can kind of knock down and say, yeah, well, it's not right, because he's not even mixing the colour himself, making the decision. But Milton, he's kind of fair game. But I wonder if the others are fair game in the same sense. I wonder if we can critique them in the same way.